The red lights flashed across the control room as Commander Park Jin-woo stared at the broken screens. Another mining station had gone silent. That made 7 stations destroyed in just 3 days. What happened this time? He asked his second officer, Kim Soo-jin. She touched her computer screen with shaking fingers. Same as before, sir. Something big smashed through the walls. All the workers escaped, but the buildings are completely ruined. Jin-woo walked to the main window and looked out at their colony. Kepler 442b was supposed to be a safe mining planet. They had been digging precious crystals from the caves for 2 years without any problems. But 3 weeks ago, everything changed. The thing came from deep inside the caves. At first, the miners thought it was just loud noises, maybe rocks falling or old tunnels collapsing. Then the security cameras caught it moving in the darkness. 12 feet tall, covered in thick, armor-like skin, with claws as long as a man's arm. The scientists called it a warbeast because it looked like something built for fighting. Sir, the alien peacekeepers want to leave, Soo-jin said quietly. Their leader says his soldiers cannot fight this creature. Jin-woo felt his heart sink. The Zephyrian peacekeepers were famous across the galaxy for being brave and strong. If they were scared, what chance did humans have? Dr. Oh Min-ho rushed into the control room holding his tablet. Commander, I have been studying the attack videos. This creature is not just destroying things randomly. Look at this pattern. He showed Jin-woo a map of the colony. Red marks showed where the warbeast had attacked. See, it only destroys the mining equipment that goes deep into the caves. It leaves the surface buildings alone unless they are in its way. What does that mean? Jin-woo asked. I think it is trying to protect something down there, like an animal protecting its home. Outside the window, workers were running toward the shuttles. Everyone knew the creature was getting closer to the main settlement where families lived. Children played in the streets just that morning, but now the playground sat empty. The beast is smart too, Min-ho continued. It knows how to break our electronic systems. It avoids our traps. Yesterday, it figured out how to turn off the power grid before attacking Station 6. Soo-jin's computer made a loud beeping sound. Sir, emergency message from the outer fence. The creature is moving toward the residential area. Jin-woo grabbed the communication device. All security teams, defensive positions now. Start the evacuation protocol. Alarm sounds filled the air across the colony. People grabbed their children and ran toward the emergency shuttles. But Jin-woo knew the truth, that he could not tell them. The shuttles were too slow. If the warbeast really wanted to hurt them, it would catch them easily. Through his binoculars, Jin-woo watched the creature move between the buildings. Even from far away, he could see its massive size. Its armor gleamed like black metal in the sunlight. When it walked, the ground shook like a small earthquake. The Manthari warriors failed too, Min-ho said sadly. They are the best fighters. In 3 star systems, their energy weapons could not even scratch the beast's skin. So what can we do? Jin-woo asked. The colony council is talking about using the orbital cannons, Soo-jin whispered. They want to bomb the whole area from space. Jin-woo closed his eyes. Orbital bombing would kill the creature, but it would also destroy their colony, and probably the cave systems they had spent years mapping. Years of work, gone. And maybe the creature was not evil. Maybe it was just scared and trying to protect something important. The warbeast stopped near the school building. For a moment, it just stood there, looking around with its burning copper eyes. Then it lifted its head and made a sound that was part roar, part cry. The sound was so loud that windows broke in nearby buildings. It sounds almost sad, Min-ho said quietly. Sad monsters do not kill people, Jin-woo replied. But even as he said it, he wondered. In all the attacks, the creature had destroyed buildings and equipment. But how many people had it actually killed? The reports said dozens were hurt, but most injuries came from falling debris and people running away. Very few people had been directly attacked by the beast itself. "Sir, we have 18 hours before the orbital strike," Sujin announced. "The council says, if we cannot solve this problem by tomorrow morning, they will destroy everything to protect the other colonies." Jinwoo nodded slowly. 18 hours to figure out how to stop a creature that had defeated the galaxy's best soldiers. 18 hours to save their home. Outside, the Warbeast moved away from the school and disappeared back toward the caves. For now, the children were safe. But tomorrow, if they could not find another way, fire would rain from the sky and end everything. The red warning lights continued to flash as night fell over Kepler-4 for to be. And somewhere in the darkness, the Warbeast waited. Dr. Lee Hyjin checked her equipment bags one last time as their shuttle flew down through the cloudy sky of Kepler-4 for to be. Next to her, 8-year-old Dojin pressed his nose against the small window, watching the strange alien world get bigger. Below them, "Will I really see the big creature, Mom?" he asked with excited eyes. "Maybe, sweetie, but remember, it might be dangerous," Hyjin said. Though she tried to keep her voice calm, she was a xenobiologist, someone who studied alien animals. When she heard about the creature problem on Kepler-4 for 2b, she knew she had to come help. Most people saw a monster, but Hyjin wondered if there was more to the story. Their shuttle landed at the colony's emergency pad. Commander Park Jinwoo was waiting for them, but his face looked worried and tired. "Dr. Lee, thank you for coming so fast. But I have to ask, why did you bring your son? This place is very dangerous right now." Hyjin picked up her heavy research. Bag Do-yeon has lived around alien animals his whole life. He understands how they think better than most grown-ups. Just then, a loud roar echoed across the settlement. In the distance, they could see another building falling down under giant claws. Dr. Jinwoo said quickly, "Our weapons don't work on this thing. The alien peacekeepers ran away yesterday. Even the strongest warriors in the galaxy could not hurt it. We are going to bomb everything from space in 16 hours. Hyjin took out her binoculars and watched the creature destroy a mining machine. She studied how it moved, which buildings it attacked, and which ones it left alone. "Commander, look carefully at what it's doing. Really look." Jinwoo took the binoculars and watched. "I don't understand what you mean. The creature is not just breaking things randomly. See how it only attacks the mining equipment that digs deep into the caves? It leaves the surface buildings alone unless they block its path." She turned to face him. "This is not crazy anger. It's protection behavior." "Protecting what? I don't know yet. But every animal I have studied does the same thing when something threatens their babies or their home." Hyjin knelt down next to Do-yeon, who was drawing a picture of the creature in his notebook. "Give me one day," she said. "Let me try to talk to it before you destroy everything." Jinwoo stared at her like she was crazy. "Talk to it. Doctor, that thing has hurt many of our people." "Has it really?" Hyjin asked back. "Or has it just been trying to tell us something that we are too scared to understand?" She had read all the reports on the shuttle ride here. Yes, people were hurt, but most injuries came from falling buildings and people running into each other while escaping. The creature itself had not directly attacked many humans. Another roar came from closer by, making everyone jump. Do-yeon looked up from his drawing. "It sounds sad, Mom, like when our dog Doll was trying to hide her puppies from the neighbors." "Cat." The adults looked at each other with surprise. Do-yeon had said something very smart. Back on Earth, their family dog had acted exactly like this creature when she had babies to protect. Doll would bark at anyone who came near her special hiding spot. She would push things around to block the entrance. She even bit Hyjin's brother once when he got too close. Commander Hyjin said slowly, "What if this creature has babies in those caves? What if your mining machines got too close to its nest?" "You think it's a parent?" Jinwoo asked. "Think about it. A creature that's smart, that's strong, that determined to protect one specific area. On Earth, The most dangerous animals are always parents defending their young. Dr. Ominho came running over to them. Commander, the creature is moving toward the residential area again. The families are hiding in the emergency shelters. How much time do we have? Haijin asked. 15 hours until the orbital bombing, Jinwoo replied. Dr. Lee, even if you are right about it being apparent, how can you possibly communicate with something like that? Haijin looked down at her son, who was still drawing. His picture showed the creature standing in front of a cave, just like a guard. Sometimes the best way to understand someone is to see them the way a child does, she said. Adults think too much about being scared. Children just see what's really there. Doyen held up his drawing. Look, Mom, it's not trying to hurt anyone. It's just standing in front of its home, telling everyone to stay away. Another roar echoed across the colony, but this time Haijin heard something different in the sound. Not anger or hunger, but worry. The same worry she heard in her own voice when someone got too close to Doyon at a playground. Commander, give me until tomorrow morning. Let me try to reach out to this creature. If I'm wrong, you can still use your space weapons. But if I'm right, maybe we can solve this without anyone getting hurt. Jinwoo looked at the destruction in the distance, then at the small boy with his simple drawing. 15 hours, Dr. Lee. That's all we have left. The morning sun was just coming up over Kepler-4 for Tubi when Dr. Lee Haijin and Doyan started walking toward the dangerous area. They left all their weapons back at the base. Haijin only carried her recording equipment and some basic research tools. Stay close to me, Doyan, but don't act scared, she whispered as they walked past the broken fence that marked the creature's territory. The boy nodded seriously and held his mother's hand. I'm not scared, Mom. It just wants to be left alone. They could see where the creature lived by looking at the ground. Huge footprints were pressed deep into the dirt, making a clear path around the area it protected. Broken pieces of mining equipment were scattered everywhere, like toys thrown by an angry child. They did not have to wait long. The ground started shaking under their feet, and then the creature appeared from behind some tall crystal rocks. Seeing it up close was much more frightening than watching it from far away. It was 12 feet tall and covered in thick dark skin. That looked like natural armor. Old scars from recent fights with the colony's weapons marked its hide. Its eyes glowed like hot copper coins, and they were clearly intelligent eyes, not the empty stare of a dumb animal. But Haijin noticed something the soldiers had missed. The creature looked tired. Its shoulders drooped with exhaustion, and it held its massive body in a way that showed stress and worry. She started with simple math, tapping numbers on a metal plate she had brought. First the basic counting numbers, then harder patterns that showed intelligence. 1 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, the Fibonacci sequence that appeared in nature everywhere. The creature tilted its enormous head and watched carefully. It clearly understood that the patterns meant something smart, but it made no response. Next Haijin drew pictures in the sandy ground. Circles for planets, triangles for mountains, simple drawings of the sun and stars. She even drew stick figures to represent people. The creature moved closer and studied the drawings with interest. Its copper eyes followed her hand as she drew, but still no understanding passed between them. For her third try, Haijin used music. She hummed simple songs, then played recordings of whale sounds from Earth on her portable speaker. Many alien species responded to music or natural sounds. The creature's ears twitched when it heard the whale songs. It made a low rumbling noise. Deep in its throat that might have been curiosity, but they were still not really communicating. Mom, Doyan said quietly, pulling on her sleeve. Look how it's standing. Haijin followed her son's pointing finger. The creature had positioned itself directly between them and a dark cave entrance behind it. Its legs were spread wide, its head lowered, every muscle ready to fight if they tried to get past. Oh my goodness, she breathed. It's guarding something in that cave. The creature seemed to understand that they had figured out its secret. It took one big step forward. not to attack them, but to warn them. Its burning eyes never looked away from them, but there was something almost begging in that stare. Please understand, those eyes seemed to say. Please don't hurt what I'm protecting. Doyen let go of his mother's hand and took a small step toward the giant creature. Hyjin's heart almost stopped, but she did not grab him back. Hello, the boy said in the common galactic language, raising his small hand up like he was greeting a friend. The creature stopped moving completely. The threatening posture melted away, replaced by confusion. Its massive head tilted to one side like a dog trying to understand a new command. For the first time since the attacks began 3 weeks ago, neither human nor creature was preparing to fight or run away. In that quiet moment, something important was starting to happen. The creature made a soft sound, almost like a question. It looked at the small boy, then at his mother, then back at the boy. Slowly, very slowly, it lowered its head until it was closer to Doyan's level. I think it's trying to smell us, Doyan whispered. Dogs always smell new people first. Hyjin held her breath as the creature's huge nostrils flared, taking in their scent. When it lifted its head again, something had changed in its copper eyes. The fear and anger were still there, but now there was curiosity too. The boy reached into his pocket and pulled out a small snack bar. He unwrapped it carefully and held it out toward the creature with his palm flat, the way his mother had taught him to feed horses. Are you hungry? He asked in his innocent child's voice. The creature stared at the tiny offering for a long moment. Then, with incredible gentleness for something so large, it touched the snack bar with the tip of one massive claw. Not taking it, just acknowledging the gift. In that simple exchange, a child offering food and a creature accepting the kindness, the first real communication between their species began. Not through math or music or pictures, but through the universal language of caring. The creature stepped back and made another soft rumbling sound. This time, it sounded almost like thank you. Hyjin smiled through her tears. They were finally talking. The moment stretched out like a rubber band, ready to snap. The creature stood in front of them, every muscle in its huge body tight with worry and fear. Behind it, the dark cave mouth held secrets that had driven this magnificent beast 2 weeks of desperate fighting. Dr. Lee Hyjin felt her heart beating fast as the creature shifted its weight forward. 3 weeks of broken buildings and scared colonists had led to this moment. Everything depended on what happened next. Doyan watched the creature with the calm focus that only children have. While the adults saw a dangerous monster, he saw patterns in how it moved. The way it kept looking back at the cave, the way it held its body like a shield, the nervous energy that reminded him of something from home. Mom, remember when our dog doll had puppies last year? He said quietly, never taking his eyes off the creature. She acted exactly like this when strangers came near her babies. The creature's copper eyes moved between the mother and child. It could see they had no weapons, that they were trying to be peaceful. But 3 weeks of fighting had taught it not to trust anything from the human colony. A low growl started deep in its throat, and it took another step toward them. Its massive claws scraped against the rocky ground, leaving deep scratches in the stone. That was when Doyan did something that went against every safety rule, every smart plan, and every survival instinct that kept humans alive on dangerous alien worlds. He stepped forward. Doyan, no. Hyjin reached for her son, but he was already moving toward the creature. The boy looked up at 12 feet of armored alien that had terrified an entire star system. He tilted his head slightly to one side, the way he did when talking to animals. Back home. Then he spoke one word with the clear, firm voice of someone who expected to be obeyed. Sit. Time seemed to stop completely. The creature froze in the middle of its threatening advance. Confusion replaced the anger in its glowing eyes. For several heartbeats, nobody moved at all. The only sound was the wind whistling through the crystal formations around them, then, slowly, like a mountain, deciding to bow. The massive creature lowered its rear end to the ground. Hyjin stared in complete shock, as her 8-year-old son had just accomplished what the galaxy's best soldiers and diplomats could not do. He had made the creature listen. "Good," Doyan said softly, walking closer with his hand extended. "You're just protecting your family, aren't you?" He reached up and gently placed his small hand on the creature's armored snout. The beast's eyes closed for a moment at the touch, and when they opened again, everything had changed. Where there had been only fear and fury, now there was recognition. The creature understood that these humans were not here to hurt what it protected. They were here to help. The creature made a soft rumbling sound and lowered its head even more, bringing its face close to the small boy's level. Its breath was warm and smelled like the deep caves where strange minerals grew. "What's in the cave?" Doyan asked, speaking to the creature like it was his friend. "Can you show us?" The creature looked back at the cave entrance, then at the humans again. It seemed to be thinking very hard about something important. Finally, it stood up and walked a few steps toward the cave. Then it stopped and looked back at them, clearly waiting for them to follow. "It wants us to come with it," Hyjin whispered, hardly believing what was happening. "Of course it does," Doyan said matter-of-factly. "It wants to show us why it's been so worried." They followed the creature toward the cave entrance. With each step, Hyjin expected it to change its mind and attack them. But the creature moved slowly and carefully, always checking to make sure they were still behind it. At the cave mouth, it stopped and made a series of soft sounds, almost like it was talking to something inside the darkness. Then came an answer from deep in the cave. Not one voice, but several small, high-pitched calls. "Baby sounds," Doyan breathed with understanding. "It's not just one creature. It's a family." The adult creature, their new friend, turned back to them and made another gentle rumbling sound. This time, Hyjin was sure it meant thank you. "We understand now," she said to the creature, tears running down her face. "You were just trying to protect your children. We're sorry we scared you." The creature touched Doyan's shoulder very gently with one massive claw, then did the same to Hyjin. It was the creature's way of saying that they were accepted, that they were no longer enemies. In the distance, the sound of aircraft engines grew louder. The colony's leaders were coming to see what had happened to the bombing target, but there would be no bombing now. A single word from a child had turned an enemy into an ally, a monster into a parent, and a war into the beginning of an unlikely friendship. The word "sit" had changed everything. 3 months had passed since the day that changed everything. Commander Park Jin-woo stood at the big observation window, watching something that still amazed him every time he saw it. Down in the valley, Doyan sat on the ground next to the creature they now called Guardian, both of them watching the beautiful sunset paint the crystal rocks in gold and red colors. "How are things going today?" Dr. Lee Hyjin asked as she joined him at the window. Jin-woo smiled, something he did much more often now. "The mining work is going faster than ever in the new areas. Guardian has been helping us find the best places to dig. It knows these caves better than all our computer maps." Through weeks of patient watching and Doyan's special friendship with Guardian, they had learned the amazing truth. Guardian was the last adult of its kind, protecting a group of eggs deep in the caves. These eggs would hatch into the first babies of its species in over 100 years. The human mining machines had accidentally gotten too close to the nest, which made Guardian fight to protect its unborn children. "The big space mining company said yes to our plan," Hyjin told him happily. "Guardian's species will be protected by law now, and we will make a special safe area around where the babies will be born." Down below them, Doyan was teaching a group of colony children how to be safe around Guardian. He showed them simple hand signals and the right way to walk slowly and calmly. The children learned quickly that Guardian was not scary once you understood how to be respectful. Guardian had become an unexpected protector of the human settlement. The dangerous wild animals that used to attack the outer buildings were now afraid to come near, because Guardian was there. Also, Guardian's deep knowledge of the planet's underground had helped the miners find the best crystal deposits. The first egg moved yesterday, Haijin said quietly, her voice full of excitement. Guardian's babies will grow up knowing humans as friends, not enemies. Jinwoo nodded as he watched Guardian gently push a dropped tool back toward one of the children with its nose. The science team from New Seoul comes next month to study Guardian species. This could change how we talk to alien creatures everywhere. It already has, Haijin said, looking proudly at her son. One word from a child did what all our weapons and technology could not do. The story of what happened had spread across the galaxy. Other colonies facing similar problems now asked for help from families with children, understanding that sometimes young minds could see solutions that adults missed. As the 2 moons of Kepler 442b rose into the dark sky, casting silver light across the peaceful settlement, Guardian made its evening patrol around the human buildings. But now it was not guarding against the humans, it was guarding them from other dangers. Children who had once run away in fear now waved at Guardian from their bedroom windows. Parents who had demanded the creature's destruction now brought their families to watch Guardian's gentle interactions with Doyan. The first baby should hatch in about 6 more months, Haijin said. Guardian has been preparing a special nursery area in the deepest part of the caves. Will the babies be friendly like Guardian? Jinwoo asked. Doyan thinks they will be. He says Guardian has been making special sounds toward the eggs, probably talking to the babies before they hatch, teaching them that humans are safe. Down in the valley, Guardian was now lying on its side, while several children used its massive body as a jungle gym, climbing carefully on its back and sliding down its tail. The creature watched them with patient copper eyes, occasionally making soft warning sounds when someone got too adventurous. The mining company wants to use our story in their training programs, Jinwoo said. They want to teach other colonies about working with local species instead of fighting them. That's wonderful. Maybe we can prevent other situations like this from happening. As night fully settled over the colony, Guardian gently shook off the playing children and stood up. It made its good-night rumbling sound to Doyan, who hugged one of its massive legs before running back to his mother. "Good night, Guardian," the boy called out. "See you tomorrow." The creature watched until Dojan was safely inside the settlement, then began its slow walk back toward the caves where its precious eggs waited. In the months to come, when Guardian's babies hatched, they would learn 2 languages, their own ancient sounds, and the human words that Doyan taught them. The youngest generation of both species would grow up together, playing and learning as friends. Other colonies across the galaxy would hear about Kepler 442b and remember the lesson learned there. Sometimes the biggest problems needed the smallest solutions. Sometimes the most complex situations could be solved by seeing them through a child's simple understanding. Guardian had once defied all the galaxy's weapons and warriors. But one human child speaking one simple word had shown everyone that friendship was stronger than fear, that understanding was more powerful than force. The creature that had once been called a monster was now a beloved guardian of the community. And it all started because a little boy looked at a frightened parent and simply said, "Sit." The story was far from over. It was just the beginning of a friendship that would last for generations.